All righty. Hello, my name's Clay Canfield. I'm the founder of Sobriety Hub, software for sober livings, and I'm here today with my friends Megan and Ariel. Megan is the founder of Roseway Recovery Houses in Delray and Boynton Beach, Florida. Guys, how are you doing today?
Hey Clay, how are you? We're doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. We're a little bit concerned that there's going to be lots of giggles during the call, but we're excited to proceed nonetheless.
Yes,
Um,
Yes,
sobriety is fun.
fun.
it's a
We do.
joy. So, Megan, I wanted to hear a little bit about like the founding story and what inspired you to create Roseway Recovery.
Yeah, so I got sober in 2014, and the recovery residence that I went to, I liked it a lot and it really helped me get to the next place. But while I was there, I found this like drive in my heart to do something similar one day. My main goal was to create a safe and loving environment for women. I found that, the community was um, lacking that safe space for women to truly grow. So for me, it started off with, I want to open a sober living one day and help women. And it's just completely flourished into this, this huge community of women. And I couldn't have even dreamt that it would be where it is today. I wanted a small little house, help a few girls, and now it's 51 residents. And I'm so thankful that I took that leap of faith, because there was a lot of fear that was behind it. Am I going to succeed? Do I really know what I'm doing? But the whole time I just listened to what God was calling me to do, and I truly feel that I'm living out His purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah, very cool. So starting with one small house and kind of ballooning into the program that you have today, 51 residents. I know you guys have a really great reputation down in Florida. How were you able to grow so rapidly and expand like that without, compromising quality of care and still being able to deliver that value to
Right.
the residents?
So for me, the quality of care is of the utmost importance. I'm Italian, and Sunday dinners are really big in my family, but I haven't missed a Sunday house meeting in over 6 years. So I truly dedicate the time to these women to make sure that they feel loved, they feel special, they know that they're important. So for me, the growing process. So what I noticed when I had the first house was that we have a 6-month commitment, minimum 6 months.
Wow.
So a lot of my newer residents, or my first residents, they would, move out, get their own apartment. After those 6 months, they would relapse, they would have to come back. So I wanted to create a phase program where they could phase through different levels of housing and stay longer, stay long term. So I got the second house, that was the phase 2 house. Then I got the third house, which was phase 3. So we really grew into having residents stay from early recovery, right out of treatment, on up to 2 years. So what I saw was the longer that they stayed, the better outcome for them. So we really, throughout each stage, figured out, okay, how can we make them feel like they're progressing in life, but still being held accountable and still getting the support that they needed. So throughout all phases, there's live-in house managers. We still do weekly meetings, we do check-ins. So it is structured throughout the 3 phases. But by the time they get to the third phase, they're at like 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 years, then they're ready to move on to their own apartment.
Gotcha. And
Yeah.
then with these ladies who have, kind of more midterm sobriety, midterm recovery that are still engaged in Roseway, um, how do you kind of incorporate, that peer-to-peer support? I mean, you could be a sponsor at that point, right? So do you,
Exactly. So,
yeah, go ahead. Tell me about the
sure.
peer-to-peer.
Oh, here we go. So we call them like senior members, big sisters. We do have sponsors within the house that sponsors other women who are just coming in, and it really gives the new ladies that that role model and that mentor for them to look up to, because they're like, okay, they were in my place and they're still here and they're doing great. And it's really created a really good balance between the newcomers and the women that have been here. So the women that have been here for a long time, they get to do service, they take them to meetings. And then the new girls that come, they can relate to them. And that's the biggest thing, because when I first started doing this, people weren't dying left and right. They just weren't. So I've really had to kind of adapt to the times of what we're dealing with now, and with our disease, and support is the number one thing. So it's great that we can utilize the women that have kind of graduated in our own program to help lead the way for the new residents.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, seems like the stakes have definitely raised in the last few years with
They have.
fentanyl and all the analogs and whatnot. So it's pretty obvious just from like, if you do a little bit of online research of Roseway, like the website's super well done. You guys have really good Google reviews, and just like overall, it appears that you've invested in, your online presence. Why did you do that? How would you recommend other sober living owners do that?
Sure.
And yeah, talk a little bit about the online presence.
So I will say the first 3 years for me was day-to-day contact, door to door, taking meetings in treatment facilities. I was working 3 jobs at the time. I would go take meetings on my lunch break, really get the name out there. Also, I already had, a name in the women's recovery community because I had been sober for a while, and
Right.
that also helped. So just utilizing the network that I created. Then once COVID hit, I would say that's really when everything online became the new thing. And for me, it's just about being able to reach more people. So I wanted to invest in the website, and for families, that's important too. They want to see where they're sending their daughter. A lot of them come from out of state. So for me, it was kind of giving them the Roseway experience, even though they can't physically be here.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. And then if you could just ballpark, like, you might not have an answer for this, but how many of your residents come to you from, oh, I found you on Google, versus like my treatment center referred me to Roseway? What's kind of the breakdown there?
I would probably say now it's probably about 25% from online.
Okay, so significant.
From online, from out of state. We obviously have been doing this a while, so we do get a lot of our referrals from facilities that are in this area. But I have seen a rise in the online referrals probably over the past year.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely a nice website says a lot. And I think that, the Google reviews are huge too, right? And I mean, it seems like, in my opinion, it seems like there's not quite enough, reviewing happening of sober livings. How do you generate reviews, and do people comment on the reviews? What's that
They do.
process like?
So the reviews was a new thing for us. Again, it's putting your brand out there, it's putting yourself out there, what you stand for out there. So, it's really important for us to have those reviews and have those testimonies, because one thing is people relate to real life. So
Right.
when they can go on and they can see, okay, these are the success stories, not only from the residents, but also from their families, it allows us to, reach more people that way as well, because they're actually seeing for themselves, okay, other people have gone through this and they've had a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. As a customer or a prospective user of any product, I always look at the reviews.
Always.
Just seems more legit. So if you were talking to a prospective sober living owner, someone who wants to get into the business, what would be like your number one tip for them?
Okay, so I've been approached a lot over the years by people who now have sober livings also.
Mhm.
And the first thing I say to them is, what you see, the outcome that you see today is not where it was 6 years ago. You have many sleepless nights. You have to work a lot. I basically only worked on Roseway for 4 years. You know, I'm a mom, I'm a woman in recovery. Like I
Right.
said, I was working 3 other jobs. It's not an overnight matter at all. And if anyone wants to get in it, I really, you know, I encourage them to do it for the right reasons, because, you know, they see this part of it. And my reasoning for getting into this business was to help women. That has not changed since day one. And your motives have to be pure. They have to be pure. You have to be doing it for the right reasons. And just be prepared for a wild ride. It's not easy. It's
No.
definitely not easy. We work 24/7.
24/7. Gets very heavy at times.
It gets heavy at times, but you know, the outcome and the success stories makes it all worth it. So my advice for anyone that wants to get into it would be to reach out to people like me and other people that are in the business and kind of see what works and what doesn't work, learn from our mistakes, learn from our successes, and really just keep your core values the same when you start throughout your journey, you know, in the business.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a great message. I mean, being a mom is kind of a full-time job. You know,
Yes.
running a recovery house is like a
Yeah.
full-time job. And then you said you also had 3 other jobs. So
I did. I had 3 jobs. I worked in treatment, and I worked many different positions in treatment facilities, which really benefited me with Roseway, because we do things very, very thoroughly. And I learned that working in treatment. And, you know, I'm also a dance teacher, and, you know, at the time I had a 6-month-old. So there was a lot going on. And then I finally got to the point where I said, you know what, I'm going to dedicate everything to Roseway. You know, it got to that place where I was able to do that.
yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned it's kind of a full-time job. You guys are kind of always on call if something goes down in the houses. Ariel, this question's for you. Like, how do you manage kind of your own self-care routine, your own recovery, alongside like that responsibility to kind of, you know, be available almost always?
Absolutely. It took some time. It definitely took some time to create that kind of balance. Taking a lot
Yeah.
of advice and suggestions from Megan definitely helped. Eventually it just became a lifestyle, you know, checking with the girls regularly and building those relationships with those bonds. It doesn't ever really feel like work. The back end of it does feel like it. I do try to go to meetings with them, but also step outside and go to my own meetings for my own recovery as well. You know,
Right.
it did take a little while for me
Yeah.
to get that balance. And honestly, Megan kind of molded me, and it was able to help me so I could do those things.
And another thing is, when it comes to management, I always promote from within. So once a girl reaches a certain amount of time as a resident, then I'll promote them to in-house manager, which is what I did with Ariel. It does take, as an owner, it takes a lot of time to work with whoever's running your house, because you want them to run it essentially the way I would run it. I've been super, super blessed over the last 6 years with Ariel and with the manager that I had before her. But the one thing I have always told them, and the in-house managers as well, is that your recovery has to come first. So if I see that Ariel is stressed out or doing too much, I'll tell her, okay, like, you need to take a step back and focus on you right now, because life gets busy. That's for any one of us. But if we don't keep our own recovery first, we won't have anything else.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I'll start with prayer in the morning. That's my go-to. If I feel like something's off, I go to her. Like, something's not right. Can we adjust something? And it works. It's worked because I've listened to the ones before me when it comes to my own recovery, my own sobriety. I still get to my meetings. I have my sponsees, I have my sponsor, and I'll continue to do the work so I remain teachable. That way I can do the job that I was blessed to have.
Yeah, we're fully invested in the program of AA, and that's something that is a requirement to live in our properties.
Yes.
The girls have to do 90 meetings in 90 days. We do sponsor checks. We take them to meetings. That's really the mission for our girls. So I always say, if they're going to their meetings, if they're working, if they're meeting with their sponsor, they're doing really good. All the other stuff we can get through.
Yeah.
But recovery has to come first.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of crazy sometimes, how, utilizing those tools it doesn't seem like it at first, but it can become a bit of a superpower in terms of, if you're on point with that self-care, you're going to be a better worker and a better friend and just, more on point with everything else.
Yeah.
So that makes a ton of sense. Just a couple more questions. What's on the docket for the next 5 years? Do you have any big plans?
I always have plans.
Are they
I
confidential?
always have ideas, and that's another thing that we do at Roseway is, if I see a girl is talented or has a passion in something, I will personally sit down with her and say, okay, how can we make this a business? How can we make this your life?
Nice.
Because I truly believe that God gave each of us gifts, and those gifts can turn into a business to where you feel fulfilled and you also can live. So for the next 5 years, honestly, I just want to continue helping women. I mean, I have all these ideas behind the scenes, but just continue helping women, continue to grow Roseway. We've really had to change the resources that we offer as times have changed. So for us, we offer full-time case management. We have a fitness program, a wellness program. We bring speakers in, we do process groups. So we've really had to change the program itself. So now we have to build on that to continue helping more women.
Very cool. Okay. So innovation is coming. It might be confidential. We didn't get any real releases here today, but that's okay. New stuff coming soon. So
yes, we'll do another podcast.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We're just generating hype here. So you guys have been using Sobriety Hub for the last couple of months.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how that's going, how it's helped, and yeah, how you use it and stuff.
I love Sobriety Hub. I was jumping for joy when your friend and my friend Nick told us about Sobriety Hub. I have been wanting this probably since 6 months in, I literally have filing cabinets after filing cabinets of paper. We're talking 6 years of paperwork. So it was always something that I was like, we need this. And then a few years, I would say 2 years ago, different companies started, coming out, and it just wasn't really the right fit. And then we found Sobriety Hub. It's perfect for what we do. We have a lot of residents, and prior to Sobriety Hub, we had been using WhatsApp and group chats to log everything. Everything is here in one app. So it's very clear cut. It's very easy to use, and it's been what we've needed for a very long time.
It's definitely been great being able to access notes right away, and between all the managers, we can all see it. If we need emergency contact right away, it's so convenient, accessible. It's been beautiful, especially when it comes to doing the intakes as well. Definitely something amazing that we added to our program.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I would highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
To any other sober living or type of business that needs this type of electronic records. It has everything there, so we can literally go back 3 years, find the person, why they discharged,
right.
Was it successful, etc. And that's huge for us to be able to access.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that it's going well. That sounded so positive. I want people to know that was not scripted.
No,
that was legit.
It literally helps us sleep better at night. It really does. It really does. And no more paper.
One of the easiest things is how it's categorized for us with all
Yes.
the housing. We can just go to that one house and there are the residents for that specific house. It's made it that much easier.
Yeah, so I know pink is flourish and
Yeah.
I know yellow is sunflower. You can color categorize each home. And then you can, you know, look through each resident. It's just, it's really something that's needed in this time of and day. Really same time of day.
Time of day, year.
Time of
Time of
day.
day.
It's needed in this time of day.
That's what I was going for.
Okay. Okay. So is there anybody that either of you guys want to shout out that's like really helped you to where you're at, to get where you're at today?
Oh gosh.
So many people.
So many, I mean, for me, like first and foremost, it's my family. My dad, he just passed away last September and he was really like my biggest motivator and biggest supporter, biggest cheerleader, you know, from day one. And, you know, just having that support was great. But I really need to shout out the managers and the team. Leadership is so important because we're dealing with people's lives. So I've been, you know, like I said earlier, I've been really blessed to have really good managers throughout the time that we've been, you know, we've been open. And we wouldn't work without the team. There's no I in team. There's no way that I could handle 51 residents and growing on my own. So I'm really grateful for, you know, the girls that help us, you know, save these women's lives. It's super important.
Yeah.
What about you?
I can say for me personally, because I've been in early recovery while I was coming up through the community, you know, different levels of managing. So it was the women before me. I have like 3 selected women, especially Megan being one of them, that were there for me with time and experience in just life, that were able to help me get through and be better at what I was doing, you know, as well as the management team that she says, and my mom. You know, my mom, it's just been her and I my whole life, and if it wasn't for her and her support, I wouldn't be where I am today. So it's an amazing experience being able to come up through Roseway from resident to where I am now. So it's really cool. It's really cool.
Awesome. You guys are so special. It's so nice to know you. I can't wait to come down to Florida and meet you guys soon.
We can't wait. We can't wait.
All right. Well, I think that's all for today. Thank you guys so much. And I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Clay.
Clay.
Bye.
Bye.